personal experience, I can tell you that you would need longer than 30 minutes to an hour because you know not only do they have like that, but they do 2 times. So the bus worker and I can right, it's going to take through 30, and they only run their bus run until after 4 o'clock.
If I can go in, because I'm the one that deals with the school districts, that's, you're correct. I know it's going to be more than 30 to 45 minutes to an hour on this one. We are willing, and so I testified to. I expect this one, I haven't talked to them about the exact times, but I expect we'll have a 2-hour blackout period in the morning and in the evening. Morning drop-off and the evening pickup. I expect probably it'll be whatever the school needs. Let me put it that way. If they say they need an hour, we'll do an hour and 30 minutes. If they say they need 2 hours, we'll do 2 hours and 15 minutes. And we will stop that during rig moves, frac traffic, general drilling times, and the production. That'll be forever. We work with school every year.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of got off track. I'm going to get back to those questions in a second. But one of the things you mentioned for type 2 was that there are 2 types of water: fresh water and what you're calling recycled water. Correct?
Reuse water, yes ma'am.
So you're saying the fresh water comes from sources Key American, or River of John, West Virginia, Stream, and or Stream or Creek as well. Can you tell which you plan to use specific to that location or you?
This one, we have multiple sources. The main source would be PA American in that neighboring Mount Pleasant Township.
But you still intend to drop bring it in the river and or the stream?
Unless we need to, we have that option if the PA American source in Mount Pleasant Township is unable to keep up.
And this is just a matter of confusion on my part where it said, where you said that you use 100% of recycled and or reused water. But how could that be if you're bringing fresh water?
We use 100% of the water that range creates. So if range creates 2 million barrels of flowback water, we will use that 2 million barrels of flowback water in our operations.
But clearly you're not only using flowback water because you're running a pipeline.
Correct. Correct.
You kind of mentioned and you kind of just breezed over that you use condensate, is that the right term, tank, for to hold some of this water on site?
We'll use upright vertical tanks.
How many of those will you have on site?
For the frac operation, there could be 10 to 20 of them. We won't know until we actually see how large the site is, see where the frac equipment is placed.
So one of the things that you mentioned was that you intend to, I guess, truck or pipeline over water if we allow you to understand the children harm. And you had mentioned that you're going to travel on rising. And I kind of missed, I suppose I'm trying to raise that really quick, but you're going to go somehow rising to 98 flat, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. To the Schultz, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Have any of you actually come from rising?
Yes.
So you understand that everybody in the inside all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a, so that is a state road. So we will work with the state and they are responsible for upkeep on that. We will work closely with them before we start operating. If there are sections that they or we feel are unsafe for our traffic, we will assist the state in fixing those areas.
Okay, so I guess my concern is, so you're going to bond them and you're going to do excess maintenance for your traffic, like a pay on it.
Yes.
And you will be maintaining with our township on until township road and even township driving to get your children.
Yes, ma'am.
And then just for clarification, the speak from first person experience of what I drive every day. And there have been times where they're shut down or essentially have to be positive if we're flying off. And they did not very quickly address those issues. My concern is that you're using that to trap water or remove your causing multiple yard. What is the impact of residents that live in that area should it ever fire?
And Mr. Welker, just as a predicate to the chair on Lynn's question, Rising Road, if range is permitted to use Connor to truck water, reuse water to Connor, like the Schultz, Rising Road would not have to be used for water sourcing. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so go ahead. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure that Madam Chairman, that you understood that the goal is to actually avoid using Rising Road, at least during water sourcing, if we could use Connor to source Schultz.
So you're going to pipe it back, correct?
So what we would do for Schultz is we would prefer, so we didn't have to use Rising and Gladden and 980, is that we run a pipeline from Connor to Schultz and run the trucks to Connor and pipe that water to Schultz. That would eliminate the circuitous route of Rising, 980, Gladden, that long route. That would eliminate those 5 to 7.
But how, like, so is the pipe going to be underground? I mean, there would need to be some sort of agreement, above ground, underground, or would need to be agreements with the residents who live along that path to allow you to do that. So I guess that's what why I'm asking these questions is because if you don't get those agreements and we've already approved the use of our water going from Connor and then there is a very likely potential that you will that truck it driving 985.
Yes, ma'am. So we already have an existing route, a majority of the way, that we are servicing the Augustine with. So I believe there are only 1 or 2 additional landowners to actually get pipe from the Connor to the Schultz as far as right-of-way is concerned.
Would the pipe be underground?
No, it would be above ground, ma'am. It would be temporary.
You're going to run above ground temporary pipe from Augustine to Schultz.
Yes, ma'am. We do it every day. We have about 60 miles of existing above ground pipeline right now that's temporary.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't remember where I was at. What was the previous question?
Oh, you were saying about you only have a few residents that you don't agree with.
Yeah, so, with the kind of early on in the process, so we're still looking at all of our options. So we are, we do have an existing right-of-way that runs right by the Schultz location and just north of Connor. So to extend that right-of-way down, just north of the Connor, to extend that right-of-way down to the Connor would only take a few additional landowners.
One of the things that was mentioned is traffic control. Does range intend to use the same company for your traffic control and control that you use for Augustine?
Yeah, I think I'll answer that one, Justin. We have 2 traffic control companies that we primarily use, and we would be one of those 2.
I guess Matt's question is for you too. So one of the things that you mentioned was that you would have a lock gate Is that gate going to be similar to the gate that you have at Augustine?
Yes.
Are you aware that the way the Augustine pad is, the gate goes across the access road, that you could literally drag in or walk along either side of that gate?
That gate is made to keep out vehicles, and I understand you can drive around it, but it is not, it's not gated to keep out everybody from going around it. It's gated to keep out people from going up the access road. And when I say people, I mean, they can walk in from any direction. But yes, it's just meant to keep vehicles out.
I'm not by any means particularly professional but quite honestly, just by looking at the gate at Augustine, I don't think there would be anybody out who would want to get there. I mean, because literally, even in my opinion. So one of the things that you were requesting the use of a cyber guard, but you're willing to use a guard shack. So one of the questions I asked, I was wondering was, so who gets called? So say you're using cyber security, who gets called in the event that somebody calls along? That shouldn't be.
So when we're using the cyber gate, that's during the manned operation, so we have the company man on site, so the call center has their number, so they can get a hold of the supervisor on site. Also, myself and my team get called, we're on call 24 hours a day.
Isn't there are benefits of having somebody there? So like, is there the potential that you could use both? Because by the time the cyber security picks up, somebody should be there, and if phone calls need to go out there and or you on site, there's a reaction time lag. Versus if somebody is sitting in an armed guard shack, they're
No, they're not armed guard checks. They're security guards that are unarmed.
I meant a human. By armed, I meant a human there too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we haven't seen any delay in that. The guard shack, it's located usually pretty far away from the actual pad, so they still have to call the company man if something happens. It's kind of the same process. It would be redundant to have both of them. There wouldn't be any benefit for that. So we would go with one. We prefer to use the cyber gate. It has increased our security. We would go with either one, but we wouldn't do both.
So again, refresh my memory. So you're using cyber. Is there someone sitting there watching the cameras to monitor every single citation, 24 days a week, or is it a camera that would be picked up from first person or something?
No, so the same company does this. So let me talk about just the cyber gate, because I also talked about our security cameras, which are a little bit different. But our cyber gate, yes, it's monitored 24/7 by somebody watching those sites. They have at least 4 people on shift all the time, and depending on volume, they know if I communicate with them, they know when we're in our fracking stage. That's when we have the most vehicles in and out, so they increase their manpower to handle that. So yes, it is physically monitored 24/7 by a person. The confusion there might have been that the security cameras have a motion activation and an alarm system. That they're not physically watching the screen on all those sites all the time. Those get a motion alarm, they look at it to see what's there. But the gate cameras are monitored 24/7 by multiple people.
So explain to me when you would use the cybersecurity to monitor 24/7 and when you would use a cyber camera that is.
So I guess the easiest way would be anytime the cyber gate would be anytime we would have a security guard on site 24/7. So that'd be drilling completions operations. Anytime we have 24-hour operations on site, we would be required to have a security guard on site. We would replace the on-site security guard with the cyber gate.
You had made the comment, that the local municipality police department will help you out, and then you said we help the police department. What does that mean?
By having extra eyes in the field, so like I said, we have multiple mobile